Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. We are from group 7 and the member is Wulansari, Putri, Herda is me, and the second presenter is Denti Karnisa. Now, firstly, I want to tell you about a concept of phrase. A phrase is a group of words that stand together as a single unit, typically as part of a clause or sentence. A phrase doesn't contain a subject and verb, and consequently cannot convey a complete thought. Type of phrase, and the example is, the first is noun phrase. Noun phrase, the example is like a red box. And the second is verb phrase. Verb phrase, the example is like will go. And the next is adjective phrase. Adjective phrase, the example is quite big. And adverb phrase is very slowly. And the last is possessional phrase. The example is in the car. And the difference between phrase and clause. A phrase is a group related of words. It doesn't contain a subject and a verb. And a clause is a group of related words. It contains a subject and verb. The examples of phrase is like a sad story, and the example a clause is she was reading a sad story. And the next point is about noun phrase. A noun phrase is a phrase that plays the role of noun. Noun phrase consists of a noun, a person, place, or thing, and any modifiers. And noun phrases are used to describe nouns with clear descriptions. The function of noun phrases are a noun phrase as subject, and noun phrase as object, and then a noun phrase as object of prepositions, a noun phrase as indirect object. And there are two types of noun phrase. The first is basic noun phrase, and the second is complex noun phrase. Basic noun phrase is a noun phrase consisting of determiner like predeterminer, central determiner, and or post determiner. And head is noun, number, or adjective. This is the table for kinds of determiner and the example of determiners. So you can look this table. And the example of basic noun phrase is like all the trees, and description is predeterminer is distributive, that is all, and the central determiner is article, that is the, and head is noun, this is a trees. And the second is complex noun phrase. Complex noun phrase is a noun phrase composed by several components, making this phrase more complicated than a basic noun phrase. A component of complex noun phrase, namely pre-modifiers, head, and post-modifier. This is the table kinds of modifiers and the examples of modifiers. You can look. And the example of complex noun phrase is like very small school in this country that was built in 1980. This is the pre-modifiers is determiners is a, and then adverb is very, and adjective is small, and head is noun, that is school. Post modifier is prepositional, depressed. The prepositional phrase. The word is in this country, and relative clause is that was built in 1980. And the example of noun phrase is like I forgot my bag. This is central determiner is possessive. This is my. This my is possessive. is in the general determiners, and head is noun is big. And the next is about adjective phrase. An adjective phrase are a group of words consisting of adjective and modifiers, determiners, and or qualifier or intensifier. That is just like simple adjective. The adjective phrase serves to explain the noun. You can look this table. Table have sentence is I like very dark chocolates. Very dark is adjective phrase, and while very dark chocolate is a noun phrase. To difference, we need a focus on the head. The head of the adjective phrase is dark, while the noun phrase is chocolate. Adjective may be combined with modifiers, determiners, and or intensifier to form adjective phrase. The first is modifiers. Modifier is a word, phrase, or clause that function as an adjective or adverb. In the case of adjective phrase, generally the modifiers used is simple adjective or simple adverb. And the second is about determiners. Determiners commonly used to describe adjective or articles, both definite and indefinite article like and quantifier is many, few, little, some, and distributive is all, free, both, and the chat. Demonstrative adjective is this, that, this, those, and are. Possessive adjective is my, your, his, her. Like the example is this in the table. You can look. Possessive verb is an adverb that can function to emphasize, amplify, or adjective down tone. The example is like adjective phrase is partly complete. Intensifier is partly. And another example is like really nice. The intensifier is really. And then the next point is about prepositional phrase as adjective phrase. If the adjective phrase is translated in a broader sense, the example like he is student from Massachusetts Institute of Technology, and the noun is student, and prepositional phrase is from Massachusetts Institute of Technology. The example of adjective phrase is like the weather in the country is very cold. Adjective phrase is very cold.
And the next material will be explained by Denti Karnisa. For the Denti Karnisa, time is yours.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Denti Karnisa. In this video, I will continue explain the material from my partner Wulansari Putri Herda about adverb phrase and verb phrase. So the first, I will explain about adverb phrase. Adverb phrase is a group of words consisting of adverbs with qualifiers like to, very, so, enough, and etc. Or groups of words such as prepositional phrase or infinitive phrase that can be function like adverbs. An adverb phrase tells how, when, where, why, or what extent. So the example is I water my flower every morning. So the adverb phrase of this sentence is every morning and modifies the verb water. And this adverb phrase is telling how. Why? We can make the question like this. How often I water my flower? So the answer is I water my flower every morning. So I think it's clear to know this adverb phrase is telling how. I will give you another example. The sentence is that beautiful butterfly flies through the window. So the adverb phrase of this sentence is through the window and modifies the noun beautiful butterfly. And this adverb phrase is telling where. Why? Can make the question like this: where it goes? So the answer is that beautiful butterfly flies through the window. I think it's clear to know this adverb phrase is telling where. Now I want to talk about types of adverb phrase. The first is adverb of time. Adverb of time is a word that refers to when something happened. And the example is, they couldn't do anything during the storm. The word during the storm here is adverb phrase of time. And next about adverb of manner. So adverb of manner tell us how something happens. The example is, the customer always pays the bill with his debit card. So his debit card here is adverb phrase of manner. The third is adverb of place. Adverb of place tell us where something happens. The example is, I'm on a flight to Bandung. To Bandung here is adverb phrase of place. Next, about adverb of frequency. Adverb of frequency is an adverb that describes how often you do something or something happens. The example is, all people may need to see a doctor every year. Every year here is adverb phrase of frequency. And the last is adverb of purpose. The example is, I bought this pancong cake for you. The word for you here is example of adverb phrase of purpose. Alright, next I want to talk about verb phrase. So a verb phrase is a combination of words like a verb, preposition, and adverb that when used together usually take on a different meaning to that of the original verb. Right, next about the form of a verb phrase. The first consists of an auxiliary verb be and a main verb in form. And you can see the example in the table. There are, she is sleeping and the students were watching. So here the form of a verb phrase is sleeping and were watching. The second consists of an auxiliary verb have and a main verb with past participle. And you can see the example in the table. There are, they have gone home and she has had lunch. So here the form of verb phrase is have gone and has had. The third consists of an auxiliary verb have or had or has plus been and a main verb in the ing form. And you can see the example in the table. There are, she has been working hard and the man have been fishing in lake. So here the word has been working and have been fishing is the form of the verb phrase. And next consists of a modal verb and a main verb. And you can see the example in the table. The word is, she can dance and they should study. So the form of verb phrase here is can dance and should study. And the last consists of a modal auxiliary verb and auxiliary be, have or have been, and a verb. And you can see the example in the table, and the words are, she should have waited and they might have been worrying. And the form of a verb phrase here is should have waited and might have been worrying. And Next, about a function of verb phrase. The first is verb as verb phrase had. The example is have borrowed, will be painted, and the others. And the second is verb phrase as a predicate, and the example is the vase was broken by the cat, and the students will finish their homework. So the words was broken and will finish here is a verb phrase as a predicate. The third is verb phrase as a noun phrase modifier. The example is the fruit to eat is on the table. The word to eat here is the verb phrase as noun phrase modifier. The fourth is verb phrase as adjective phrase complement. The example is you should be excited to study grammar, and I am irrationally afraid to fly. The words to study grammar and to fly here is the verb phrase as adjective phrase complement. The last function is verb phrase as verb phrase complement, and the example is the students have to pass the test, and the another example is he helps manages the student workers. So the words to pass the test and manages the student workers here is the verb phrase as verb phrase complement. Well, I think it's enough for me and my partner to explain about the phrase, and thank you very much. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.